All right, so we are at step 1. This is capture. I'm 𝗟𝗟𝗡𝗏 with Sunrise Scribbles, and I am talking to you today about how to get your ideas out of your head onto paper into a workable plan and create a process, a system that you can repeat for just about anything. This is going to help you recapture your time and get things out of your head, reduce the invisible load that you are carrying so that you can enjoy your life. So step 1 is to capture. Let's talk about how this works. First of all, let's talk about what not to do. What you don't want to do is sort as you put your ideas on paper. So, for example, we're going to talk today about Substack. It's an easy example. A lot of people that I work with use Substack, so we'll talk about that, but we can also talk a little bit about vacations and meal planning as we go. So let's say that we're trying to organize our Substack content over a 2-week period. Well, instead of putting down all of our ideas and saying, I have an article and that belongs to the article category, or it belongs to the productivity category or the meal planning category, I'm just going to write down that I want to produce an article. I want to make an article this cycle. So I'm going to write down I want an article, I want a chat, I want to write notes. Maybe this week I have a goal to write 10 notes this week. So I'm going to write down 10 notes. I'm going to list them all out and then I'm going to categorize, not the reverse. I'm not going to go through each one and say this belongs in this category, this belongs in that category as I go. When you do that, chances are you're going to get interrupted. The dog's going to come in, need to go for a walk. You're going to come back and you're going to forget where you left off. So just brain dump it. Get it all onto paper and then do the categorization next. This is what it looks like. This is a page from my 2-week planner. It's called the Clarity Planner. You can get the link in the description. It's available on my Substack. If you don't want to use this, that's totally fine. You can get a piece of printer paper and write it out by hand. You can create an Excel document. You can use PowerPoint, like whatever suits you, you can use. It all works just as well. So use whatever's easiest. This one that you're looking at here is my Substack specific template, but I do have a blank template in my package as well. And if you're using the blank package, then you're just going to fill in the blank on the right-hand side where the category is. The categories really don't matter. So like I said, you will fill it in. So if you're using it for meal planning, you'll use the blank one, and then you'll put the categories on the right-hand side. Like for meal planning, it's going to be chicken, fish, vegetarian, leftovers, whatever you make. For home renovation, you've got categories for that. For vacation, it might be going out to dinner, doing an excursion, things like that. So you'll figure out what your categories are, but don't worry about that up front. That's more work, because then you're thinking while you're going and you're like, well, is this a category? Is that a category? Do I need to skinny it down? Don't worry about that. Just write it down. Make yourself a list, and then we'll categorize. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you how to use it. And after I show you how to use it, what I want you to do is take 10 minutes, set a timer, and write down every idea, task, loose thread, whatever it is that you want to do with your business or your meal plan or your vacation over a period of time, 1 week or 2 weeks. If it's a vacation, maybe it's 4 days, but write that list down. When the timer ends, just stop. You don't have to clean it up. You don't have to tidy it. It's there, what's there. Now you can categorize. You need to create your categories after you get that list, and that's when you can figure out what works in terms of categories. You're tagging each of your list items. So, and I'll show you how to do that in the example. So let me show you the example now, and then we'll see each other again in a couple minutes. Okay, so let's see this process in action, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to think about what are you planning? And I call that content. So it could be a meal plan, it could be a vacation, but what type of project are you trying to plan and trying to plan out for the space of what will end up being a couple of weeks, at a minimum a week? Like, what do you want to do over that period of time? What do you want to accomplish? What are all the things that need to get done within that time frame? So if I'm thinking about my Substack, I'm going to think, well, okay, I have a podcast that needs to go out once a week, probably. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to say thinking out loud. I probably want to write an article once in a while. I mean, it is Substack, so article. Maybe I want to write it about planners. Maybe I don't know yet, and that's okay too. I also need to schedule my notes, so I'm going to say schedule notes. And I need to write a newsletter. I'd like to put out my newsletter, so I'm going to put newsletter. And then group chat. I want to keep my group chat going. Okay. All right. So those are a few things. You're going to have a longer list. You know, what do you need to get done? Think about in the space of like 2 weeks. What is your planning cycle? We'll talk more about that in the next video. But for right now, just think about, you know, what do you need to do during a fixed set of time, minimum 1 week. So these are the things that I want to get out there. Then you're going to categorize them. So if you're doing Substack stuff, I have some default categories listed here, but if you're not, don't worry. There's a blank version of this that you can use. So you can download that one instead, or you can create your own on a piece of paper and just fill in your own categories. But since we have categories here, we're going to go ahead and categorize. So the first one, like I said, is a podcast. The second one's an article. The third one is scheduling notes. I'm going to say that's marketing, and a newsletter is an article. And then finally, we've got our group chat. So that's going to be, I'm going to call that marketing also. It could be other. So this is my content. It's quick, it's dirty, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it gives me the idea that it is now out of my head and onto a list. So now I can take it and I can work on step 2 with this information. All right, I hope you found that demo helpful. Next, we're going to decide when. So now that we have our list, we're going to decide when over that 2-week period we want to come in and schedule that content, is what I'm calling it. So it could be meals, it could be vacations, but we're going to figure out when we want to do each of these things so that we don't have stuff overlapping and we're not doing it at the same time on the same day, and we're really having more of a pleasant experience and giving ourselves more time back. So let's get into it now. Join me in video number 3.